Steve and Jill here.
Hi.
Welcome to the Land Academy Show, entertaining land investment talk. I'm Stephen Jack Butala.
And I'm Jill DeWitt, broadcasting from sunny Southern California.
Today, Jill and I talk about when to negotiate with a land seller. Never.
Right. Well, I don't know what we were talking about. We were in the kitchen writing our topics, and I don't remember even why this came up, but I'm thinking this is important. Everybody thinks that we should negotiate. You should be good at negotiating. You should read negotiating books. I'm like, why?
Even when you're this far along in your career,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I catch myself not taking my own advice. And this is one of the things that I find people in our staff doing, and I do it myself. Right. I negotiate too much instead of just saying, you know, that's it.
Not going to happen.
You know, Jill's famous for saying, I love this asset at 22,000, but at 28, I hate it. Love it at 22, hate it at 28. It's up to you, seller.
By the way, this is going to come into play later on today when we have a meeting about a certain asset that I don't like the price. And you're trying to make it, you want to negotiate. I don't want to negotiate. I want to move on.
Before we get into it, let's take a question posted by one of our members on the landinvestors.com online community. It's free.
T. Kyle asks, my first mailer went out on July 13th, 1,500 letters to 2 different counties. And here's the response. This is so good. He got 1, you're a loser, email, in quotes, you're a loser. Got 7 or 8, take me off your list calls. 3 counteroffers that were way too high. 1, yes, but I priced way too high, so I had to decline. 2 acceptable counteroffers, but the sellers ghosted me. And 1 negotiated sale that I will be closing on this week. Hopefully will net me $10,000 in profit. That was so cool. That was just a quick little down and dirty recap.
Exactly what you can expect. Mm-hmm. And it sounds like he maybe even priced it a little bit too high his first shot around, he or she. So, you know, do you think people go into this with the realistic expectation of what's going to happen in a mailer? Do you think
Yes.
I'll turn it back around on us. Do we prepare them for what's really going to happen?
Yes.
Because this is it, I
Yes.
think. This is an incredibly accurate recap.
Yes.
And I bet this is about a week old at least.
Right.
So this is probably times 8.
Right.
So hopefully he's got 4 or 5 other $10,000 net properties in there, which is the type of mailer that happens to us.
That's a good response for the 1,500 unit mailer. That's a good response of a week's worth of activity.
Yeah.
After 3 weeks, it's a lot more. And he's probably got a handful of deals now.
Yep.
So I think it's great. And I do think that we do. That's why we're here. I feel like that's my job, you know, and that's the whole thing about Land Academy. We are here to properly convey what this is. I don't want to, you know, tell you this is easy, everybody can do it, piece of cake, whatever. No, I really want you to know what you're getting into, because the right people will come into this with the right attitude and the right expectations and kill it.
Exactly.
I don't want a lot of members that are just floundering.
Yep.
You know, we have a really tight group of people doing really, really, really well.
Exactly.
Thanks. Had to get that out. Thank you.
Today's topic, when to negotiate with land sellers? Never. This is the meat of the show. Do you really mean never? You wrote this topic.
I did.
Usually I write the topics. Jill wrote this one.
Let me tell you
Do you
my
mean never,
points.
never, never? Or do you mean like the vast majority of the time, never?
Well, if you had to ask me if I, flat out, negotiate or not negotiate, my answer would be do not negotiate.
Me too.
So here's what I mean. Here's why. Number 1, in this business, negotiating rarely works out in your favor. Why? It ends up being a time killer. You're either negotiating with yourself, which is ridiculous, or you're negotiating with them. They don't even know what they're asking for. They're just trying to get more money out of the deal, which I understand. So, and if they're in the mindset that they're not serious about selling, they want to negotiate for the best price, I find that they're thinking about it. They're not really here to sell, and I don't want to waste my time.
By now, we all can understand why leveraging your time and leveraging money in your favor is so valuable. If you don't, just go out and Google it, because it's a very basic, like business 101 type thing, where the further you get along in business, the more resources you have access to, the more you can actually intelligently leverage your time and your resources and your money.
Right.
So follow me on this. You send out, I'm going to make these numbers real round. These numbers are not real, but it's the concept's real. You send out 1,000-unit mailer, and you get, after all the stuff, three properties back. For every 300 you send out with rural vacant land, you generally buy one property. So you send 1,000 out, and you're staring at 3 properties that you think are pretty acceptable. You know in your soul one of them's great. In your soul, you know the way it's signed, the property, how it looks, that you price it right, everything's perfect. Now you have these 2 others that are just kind of eating at you, like, should I do these deals? They look good, they're in the same kind of neighborhood, but it's just, if I only could get them for X, Y, Z, I should go back to the seller. And I should get these properties for a few $1,000s less. Then I would feel just as good about it as I do the first one. That's option 1. Or you can send out 3,000 letters instead of 1,000 and get 3 properties that are just going to sleep like a baby at night, knowing what's going to happen with them.
Right.
Which one would you rather do, and which one's more efficient and time efficient and money efficient? Here's the math. I mean, 1,000 mailers was going to cost you about $1,500 to send out, start to finish. And you should be making between $5,000 and $10,000 a property. So there's just a no-brainer there. So now when you really do the math and the analysis about tripling your mailer size or quadrupling your mailer size to get those really low-hanging fruit deals, it makes complete sense. So there's lots of stuff that you have to unlearn when you start real estate, because your parents taught you, or you've just been exposed to all negotiation. I mean, somebody should write a book about why negotiation's dumb. If you go to like any bazaar anywhere out of this country or any place, it's ingrained in their culture to negotiate prices and negotiate. And
some cultures, right?
Like a bazaar or anywhere, like I think in some countries.
Yard sale. Let's just call it say a yard sale.
In some countries, you go in and
Craigslist.
Even in a grocery store or an open air market, you're really negotiating price for food.
Right.
So
it really drives me
don't
nuts,
think
by the way.
It's efficient or fun, by the way.
Mm-hmm. It's so true. It's like any used car. If you've ever bought or sold a used car, we all know how it goes. You're always going to mark it up because you know you're going to mark it down. That person just has to feel like they're getting something. And are they really? No, because you deliberately marked it up because you knew you were going to mark it down. So nobody's really winning. Why don't we just put it out there? But I love all your points, and that's I agree with too, because I wrote down it's just better to send out more mail and get more of those really, really good deals. I do have one caveat to this whole conversation that I have done and I still kind of believe in. So you send out these offers, some comes back, and let's just say it's a wonderful, wonderful property. I mean, I was listening to somebody the other day talk about a property that they bought, one of their first home runs, that they paid $4,500 for it, and they sold it for $45,000. So this is not crazy. So
this
imagine
is a beautiful story.
Right. So thank you. So imagine that $4,500 property comes back, and the person says to you, I need $5,000 to pay off this credit card. That's what's holding me back. And you say no and you walk. Okay, so $4,500. You know it's worth $45,000. Are you really going to let that $500 stand between you and this deal? For me, no. If it's something, and have I done that? Yes. I have had people say, I have a vet bill. I almost lost my cat. I'm not kidding. This is true.
It's a real story.
It is a real story. And I need to pay this bill. If you can, it was like something little, like if you could throw an extra $200 in here, that would cover the bill, and I'll sell it, and it's great. And I'm like, well, little things like that, $200, and got the deal done. And I know there's plenty of, skin in the game. I would do that. So that's it's not negotiating. It's me going, can I afford to do that? And a yes. And is it going to get the deal done quickly? And all the stars are in alignment on everything else? Yes. Am I in love with the property? Yes.
I would file that under the heading.
What would you call it?
Repricing.
Okay.
Here's what that's not. And Josa, I completely agree with you. Completely. Thanks. That's just a reprice based on a personal circumstance. And we built our whole real estate company, these companies, on personal circumstances, where they're just going to sell the property because of a personal circumstance, not because they really wanted to sell it. They just don't care. So, but negotiation is this. You send an offer, the number's right on there. we'll give you $4,500 for the property. They come back and say, no, at 15,000, and you go back and say, oh man, I know it's worth 45,000. How about 6,000? No. How about 12,000? How about 9? How about 10?
This is
How about
driving
9,500?
nuts.
And then everybody says something like this. Are you happy? No. Are you happy? No. Good, we have a deal. How many times have you heard that in your life? That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my ever.
I hate it.
I can't stand it.
It gives me. It's like giving me goosebumps.
Me too.
It makes me mad.
Me too, Jill.
Like, oh, I hate that situation. Yeah.
So, and then it's just like I gotta spray myself off with Lysol because you just feel slimy and terrible, and they're all unhappy because they didn't necessarily get the
Bad
price.
taste in your mouth.
Yeah, and a lot of times the stuff just falls out anyway if some people go dark.
That's
There's just a lot of issues that happen with negotiation versus I really need to pay my vet bill. That's a accurate goodwill repricing is exactly what I would call that.
That's what comes. By the way, the description you described just now is my number one point. It rarely works out when you do negotiating, and it ends up being a whole waste of time, back and forth. I'm doing a deal right now, a big, large commercial land deal. Right, the guy came in with this offer, and he was expecting me to counter. And you know what? I'm done with it. We're making 5 times what we put into it, so I'm okay. He doesn't know that, so I said okay. The only thing I asked for was I counted with a quicker closing time and a non-refundable deposit. He wanted, and then those little things. I think the buyer's so excited because I didn't counter with a price. I'm like, You know what? No, I'll take it. Here's what we're gonna do. And everybody, I'm sure he's happy. I'm happy, and that's not back and forth. That's it.
Here's another thing, and I speak for all men. There's a big chest beating scenario with getting a good price on stuff. I let go of that a lot of years ago. I used to had to be the guy in the room who paid the least amount for the car that they drive and all that. And it's just kind of this trophy that's associated with getting a great financial deal. And that's over now. Because you really look at how much time that you spend on it and why you're hanging your hat on it. It's all not good. What's really good is a healthy repricing if it needs to happen.
I agree.
Maybe the back and forth is maybe twice. But when it becomes this massive, if you're negotiating to negotiate, because that's the culture you're sitting in, or that's what you think has to happen, that's not a good reason.
What I hear with our members, and you never want to be in this situation, is when a seller says, can you do any better? And then with no number. You don't want to be in that situation. That happens a lot because you never know what they're asking. You need to know. They may not know. You need to know. You need to say what's it going to take to get the deal done. Let them give you a number, and then you say yes or you say no. And often, most of the time, I say no. I'm going to say no unless it's like that little old lady at $200 is going to make it. I'll say yes. But when it's like, a $4,500 deal and he wants $25,000, I'll say no. Have a nice day.
Yeah.
And
totally.
I really mean it, and I walk. I'm because you know what? I got more mail to open and more calls to take.
Half the time they come back 6 months later and say, okay.
Yeah, it's true. It is really true.
Hey, we know your time's valuable. Thanks for spending some of it with us today. Join us next time for another interesting episode.
And we answer your questions posted on our online community found at landinvestors.com. It is free.
You are not alone in your real estate ambition.
It's Friday.
It is Friday. That felt pretty good.
Yeah, I'm glad.
I like our stance on this.
I agree.
You and I actually really agree on this topic.
We agree on a lot.
It doesn't feel like that.
Oh. Wherever you're watching, wherever you're listening, please subscribe and rate us there. We are Steve and Jill.
Information
and inspiration
to buy undervalued property.